This right here is the Beelink ME Mini, and the most fascinating thing about this device is that it has got 6 NVMe SSD slots. With this, you can create a fast and efficient home server. It's rare to find a desktop motherboard with 6 NVMe slots these days, but this tiny device has them, and I've been stress testing this device by loading it up with a bunch of NVMe SSDs and running a full-time 24/7 NAS server on it. It handles a fast file storage system, streams content via Jellyfin, and runs Docker containers effortlessly, all while using only less than 10 watts of power. And get this device is even more efficient than the Beelink S13 setup, which I showcased in my earlier videos. Now, the build quality is surprisingly solid for a $200 device. The plastic chassis feels sturdy, and I love that it has a built-in power supply. Opening this device is just simple. Just remove 4 screws on the bottom, and then the shell just lifts right off. Now, they gave these plastic stoppers on the bottom, which is sort of pointless because 9 out of 10 times, whoever's gonna buy this device is gonna remove those and get in to put those NVMe SSDs. The internal layout is clever. You've got 3 NVMe slots on each side, making it a total of 6. You also get to see the internals like the Wi-Fi module, and then the power supply is neatly integrated. It's impressive engineering for such a compact form factor. It has an Intel N150 processor, which is a 6-watt quad-core processor. It has 12 gigabytes of LPDDR5 RAM. This means low power double data rate 5. Too many words, but in simple words, this type of memory is mainly found on mobile and portable devices. As for the ports, it's got 3 USB ports. It's got one USB-A 3.2 Gen x2 port in the front, one USB-C port which is 10 gigabit per second, and finally one USB 2.0 port in the back that's always on. It also has a dual 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port and Wi-Fi 6. Also, it has one HDMI port which is supporting up to 4K 60. Now for my test, I'm using a mix of 5 different NVMe SSDs. And speaking of SSDs, let's address the elephant in the room. And that is that 5 of these NVMe slots run at PCIe Gen 3 x 1. Which means that you're gonna get around 1 gig per second maximum speed instead of the faster speeds that these drives are capable of. This translates to around 600 to 750 megabytes per second read and write speeds, far off from the 7,000 megabytes per second read and write speeds that these drives are actually capable of. Only one NVMe slot is set to run at PCIe Gen 3 x 2, which is slightly faster and can be used for installing the main OS. With this, I was using the Crucial SSD, and I got around 1480 megabytes per second read and 1460 megabytes per second write, so almost double the speed of the other slots. But here's the thing, for a NAS system, it does not matter as much as you might think. Even if you combine both 2.5 gigabit Ethernet ports together, you're still looking at a total of 5 gigabits per second total bandwidth, which translates to around 625 megabytes per second. Still, we are way below our PCIe limitation. And realistically, most home networks are still running on either a gigabit or 2.5 gigabit connection, so these slow NVMe drives are still faster than your home network unless you're running a 10 gigabit network. Now by default, this device ships with Windows 11 Pro, and I gave it a quick test and it runs surprisingly well. But to truly utilize this machine's potential, we need to talk about running a NAS operating system. There are many options for running a home NAS system, which ranges from easy to complex setups. But before we dive into that, let's cover what a NAS is and why you should care. Well, if you have ever wanted a personal cloud for stashing your movies, photos, documents, and any kind of content, then you would need a NAS system. A NAS stands for Network Attached Storage. It's basically a smart hard drive that lives on your home network, ready to serve up your files anytime you need them. And here's the cool part. With something like WireGuard VPN, you can tap into your NAS or your home network from anywhere in the world. So in simple words, it's like having your own private Dropbox or Google Drive minus the subscription fees and with total privacy. Now back to the installation. At first, I was considering running Proxmox, which allows you to run virtual machines. But due to limited RAM at only 12 gigabytes of mobile RAM, running Proxmox may not have been such a good idea. I was also looking at Casa and Zima OS, but since Beelink ME Mini has so many NVMe SSD slots, that TrueNAS came into the picture. For installing TrueNAS, I will be using my 1TB PNY NVMe SSD for the OS. Then for my storage, I'll be using 3 NVMe SSDs, which are 2 TB each, making it a total of 6 TB. Since I'll be using it in ZFS file system, this gives me a total of 4 terabytes of NAS storage. Alright, now we're ready to install our TrueNAS scale onto our Beelink ME Mini. So the first thing I did was grab a USB drive, and then I downloaded the TrueNAS scale stable version onto my PC, and then I used a tool called Beelink Etcher to flash my USB drive with the TrueNAS installation. I did try using Ventoy, which is my go-to, but for some reason it was not able to install onto the Beelink ME Mini. So Beelink Etcher did the trick and I was able to create a bootable drive. So we're gonna go ahead and plug this in. Alright, once it's plugged in, we're gonna go ahead and boot the device up and start pressing F7 key. Keep doing that until the boot menu pops up. Otherwise, it might boot into Windows or whatever operating system it currently has. Now that we are at the boot menu, we are gonna use the boot, or in this case, the USB drive. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Alright, now it's booting up with the TrueNAS installation. So in this case, I do want to install TrueNAS, so I'm going to choose the very first option. It's going to take a few seconds for the actual installation page to pop up. Now we're going to choose the very first option, which is install/upgrade. In our case, we're installing. Now we have 6 drives that are available. So the first one is the ECC flash storage that this device comes with. I'm not going to be using that. In my case, I'm going to be using my 1TB PNY NVMe SSD. And for the other 3 drives, the crucial 2 TB and the Samsung 990 2 TB, that's what I'm going to use to create my NAS storage. So in my case, I'm going to select the PNY and I'll press the spacebar key to get it selected and then press enter. Okay, it's giving me a warning that, hey, everything is going to get wiped. In my case, there's nothing I have to lose, so I'm going to go ahead and hit yes. All right, now it's asking me for credentials, so I'm going to choose the option 1. And basically, I need to provide a password that will be the admin password for this device or for TrueNAS scale. All right, once I have my password in, I'm going to press enter. And now the installation will start. Depending on your device, whatever device you're using, it may take anywhere from a few minutes to maybe more than 5 minutes. All right, the installation is complete. Now it's telling us to unplug our flash storage or USB drive before we reboot. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. All right, after unplugging, I'm going to hit OK. And then I'm going to reboot the system. The device is going to reboot and it's going to prompt us, like it's going to give us a few seconds to choose if you want to boot into TrueNAS scale. If you don't touch it or don't do anything, it should boot right into it automatically. So the total process took maybe less than 5 minutes to install TrueNAS scale. And now we're at the login screen. So it's going to give us an IP address that we can use on our browser and then sign into TrueNAS scale. So I'm going to go ahead and jump over there. All right, so now in my browser, I'm going to put in the IP address that my TrueNAS is showing me, and I'll arrive to this page. In here, I'm going to go ahead and put in my username and password and hit login. Immediately, we're going to be presented to the dashboard page. It's going to show us our CPU usage, which is barely nothing at this point. We have 4 cores, our CPU temperatures, our available memory, what CPU we have, the whole 9 yards. So it's got all those details. And then for storage, we have nothing in here. So the very first thing I'm going to do is create storage. And keep in mind that I'm showing you the basic setup here. You can go to town with this. You can configure it very, in very detail or very, specific way. I'm showing you a basic example of setting up storage, creating a user and a group, and sharing that onto the home network so that you can access it from other devices. So I'm keeping it very simple, and you can go in very detail if you watch some other videos. So my example, first thing I want to do is click on storage, and first thing I want to show are the disks again. So I have the 64 gig internal ECC drive, which we're not going to use. I have the main boot drive, which is our PNY 1 terabyte drive. So that's where the OS or the TrueNAS scale got installed. And then we have another spare 1 terabyte NVMe SSD that's available. And then we have our 3 2 terabyte drives. 2 of those are Samsung Evo Plus, and one of them is the Crucial 2 terabyte drive. So I'm going to be using those drives to install or create my network storage. So I'm mainly going to be using my 3 2 terabyte drives to create my NAS. So we're going to go back to storage and then create a pool. All right. It's giving us a warning that there are 2 disks that don't have a unique serial ID, which is fine. We're not going to be using that. So in my case, I'm going to give it a pool name. So I'm going to call it mini pool and then hit next. All right, next is data options. So first you got to select the drop down for layout, and there are many options in here. So the first one is stripe, meaning that each data will be stored on a separate disk. I'm not going to do that. Mirror is basically going to require you to have 2 drives. Those will have identical data, similar to what I showed in my last video, so that if one drive loses data, you still have data on the other drive, and then you can plug in the replacement drive and then it rebuilds the storage. In my case, I'm using RAID Z1. This is going to require a minimum of 3 drives, one of which will be for redundancy and the other 2 will be for, data. And I will probably do a more in-depth video in the future explaining these in much more detail, but for high level, for doing RAID Z1, you gotta have 3 drives. If you only have 2 drives, then do mirror. And if you have 1 drive, well, don't use TrueNAS scale at that point, in my opinion. All right, so disk size. We have a couple of disks. So in my case, I'm gonna be using the 1.82 terabyte, and I have 3 of those. So for width, it's automatically gonna default to 3. And then number of VDEFs, it's gonna be automatically default to 1. So we are not going to touch that. All right, I'm gonna hit next. For logging, I'm gonna skip that. For spare, I'm gonna skip that. For caching, now if you're using physical hard drives, caching comes in handy because then you can use your NVMe SSDs to speed up your transfer speeds. So in this case, we're not gonna be using that. Metadata, skip that, skip that. Now we're at the final stage. So just to do a quick review, we have 3 1.82 terabyte drives. So we're gonna be basically creating that and then hit create pool. And then it says gonna wipe and erase all the content. I'm fine with that. Hit continue. All right, everything has been set up and we are ready to go from here. Now that we have created our storage pool, next thing we're gonna do is create our user account. So go down to credentials and then click on users, and then we're gonna hit add. And then for the name, I'm just gonna put in Sean A, and that's gonna be my username. Give it a password, and then everything else will leave at default. Now you come down to the MNT, open up that folder path, open up the mini pool, and then I'm gonna create a data set. So I'm gonna call this home NAS, and then hit create. So basically, this user account will have access to the home NAS folder, and the permissions I want to give it are read, write, and execute. And then if I go further down, I'm going to make sure that the SMB user option remains checked. So make sure this remains checked, and then hit save. And it's saying, are you sure we're going to do that? Yes, we're fine. Hit continue. All right, we have a new user account created. Now we actually want to share this so that, we can start transferring files or start storing files onto this NAS server. So for that, go to shares. And then what I'm going to choose is Windows SMB share. And then this works with Linux, Mac, and Windows. So we're going to just use this option. So I'm going to click on add. And then I want to drill down to the path where I created the home NAS folder. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that. And then I'm going to just hit save. All right, it says, do you want to configure ACL? Sure, we'll configure it. And then it says, do you want to start the service? Yes, I do want to start the service. So this is the ACL group. I am just going to make sure that this user, Sean A, has access to everything, read, write, and execute permissions. And then we're just going to say yes, save access control list. And then that's it. Our NAS is now should be available on our home drive. All right, to make sure that the NAS is available on our home network, what I'm going to do is minimize this. I'm going to bring up my connect to servers page. So you can do that by doing Command K button. All right, in here, we're going to type in smb:// and then the IP address of the server, which is in my case, this one. And then I'm going to hit connect. It's asking for a registered user. We can enter what we created earlier. So I'm going to put Sean A and then put my password. And then I can say, remember this password in the keychain, but for now, I'm just going to leave that. And then I'm going to hit connect. All right, just like that, our home NAS drive is now available on our Mac. So I can start moving my files over. So we'll just move that over. It's about a 6.69 gigabyte file, and it's roughly taking around 3 minutes to transfer. And just like that, we are able to move our files over. Now the NAS is available on the network. It's got redundancy. If one drive were to fail, we can quickly swap that out, and then we're good to go. So overall, a very good setup. To get the most out of TrueNAS, I started by setting up a couple of apps. First thing I set up was my home VPN using WireGuard. And do let me know in the comments below if you're interested, and I'll make a video on how to set it up. With this, I'm able to remote into my home network and access it from anywhere in the world. I also configured Jellyfin for streaming shows and media across my network. And on top of that, I'm running Ollama service here to interface with my local AI models, which actually are hosted on a separate machine, but just to run the Ollama web service, I'm able to easily do that here. And the best part is that TrueNAS gives you access to over 200 Docker apps you can install with a single click of a button. So not only this is a NAS server, but a perfect app server as well. In addition to that, I've been running this as my secondary home NAS. I have been using this NAS to directly edit my videos off of my MacBook Pro. So far, it's been working great with not that many lags. Also, I have been using this as my daily backup server for my Proxmox, and this is doing a very good job of running nightly backups and backing up everything every night. As for the price, this unit runs around $209 with no SSD and $329 with a 2TB Crucial SSD. The Beelink ME Mini punches well above its weight for being a small and affordable device. With 6 NVMe slots, dual 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port, and low power draw, and the flexibility to run a full-featured NAS software like TrueNAS, it's more than capable of serving as a reliable home NAS server, and even as a lightweight app server. While the NVMe SSD speeds are capped by PCIe Gen 3 x 1, they are still more than enough for a typical home network setup. Whether you're streaming content, running nightly backups, or accessing your files, this device handles it all smoothly. For around $209, the Beelink ME Mini is a compact, efficient, and cost-effective solution for anyone looking to build a powerful DIY NAS server. And that's it for this video. Consider liking and subscribing to this channel, and I'll be making more content like this. And if there's any questions, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in my next video.